Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of We Should Have Recorded That.
So we did.
I'm Jasmine,
It's your girl Sierra.
and this is episode number 44. And today we have a very special guest. She is a woman of many talents. She owns businesses. Yes, that's plural. She's an investor and owns Legacy Capital Partners LLC. And she is also a licensed massage therapist and is the owner of Mason Wellness here in Baltimore, Maryland. She's also a mom and one of the brightest spirits that I know, and so much, much more. Please welcome Miss Aneesah Morine.
Thank
Yay.
you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yes, we are super, super excited because again, you are a woman of many talents.
Thank you.
Um yes, yes. What why we really, really wanted you to be here today is for you to help our listeners understand the importance of wellness and for
Yes,
them to be open to different avenues of receiving wellness.
yes, yes. Ashe. Ashe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just know you would be the perfect person to have
Mhm.
this discussion
Thank you for
with.
having me. I'm grateful and so much gratitude to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yes, no, again, thank you. And so we're going to get right into it.
Okay.
Um, so my first question for you is what called you to become involved in the wellness industry?
So I would say it was a couple of things. I got into it initially because of the money. Initially,
Hmm.
it was like my cousin was in massage, she was doing great, and money was speaking to me. So I was like, you know what, I
Hmm.
think I want to go in this direction. And it wasn't until I got into massage and the school specifically that I went to was
Hmm.
centered not only around massage but around energy work. So their
Hmm.
whole principle was like, you're not just coming in this to have a profession. This is for your transformation as well. And I
Hmm.
wasn't ready for what. And when they said you're gonna come in here one way but come out of here different, they really said
Hmm.
that because I did. And I had what was called a healing crisis, where so
Hmm.
of being a mom, being a single mom, doing what I have to do to survive, throwing trauma and things on my back, like, okay, get over it. You got a job to attend, you got bills to pay. I never dealt with the trauma of abuse and
Hmm.
neglect and all the things that has happened in my past. And so when your kids are growing up and you no longer have that responsibility anymore, life just kind of puts you in a situation where it's like, okay, remember this trauma, remember these things that you
Hmm.
didn't deal with. And it was out of nowhere. I was having anxiety attacks. I was
Hmm.
having um I was scared to go outside, and I'm one of the most sociable people out here, and I'm everywhere. Party, you say party, I'm there, and all of a sudden, I'm afraid to leave the house,
Hmm.
and I'm afraid to be around people, and I'm scared, and I'm having these anxiety attacks, and it went from anxiety to feeling suicidal, and all these, and I went to the doctors to get help, and they put me on medication that I didn't know was had side effects. So I was having suicidal tendencies and finally made the biggest choice of my life to admit myself and get help,
Hmm.
which was so profound and so huge for my turning around like generational curses of like how my family dealt with mental illness because I lost my mom as a result of mental illness. So, long
Wow.
story short, that was like my journey of finding my way. It was like once I realized I hit rock bottom, then I
Hmm.
began to see my journey back to the top. But it took, let me tell you what's funny because prior to that happening, I
Hmm.
remember saying, I just want to be free.
Hmm.
I just want to be free. But we got to be careful what we ask for because I said that. Spirit was like, "Oh, you want to be free? Okay, we're gonna do this." And it was almost like it just. And that's another thing. Be careful what you say, because I said I deal with so much anxiety prior to the real anxiety I was feeling, and I
Hmm.
said maybe if I get on medication, I'll feel better. And it was like spirit took me through that whole journey. I was on like 5 different medications. I was on, and spirit was like, "Is this what you want? Is this real freedom?" I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, that's okay. No, that's not what I want." So I went to then the journey of finding my way back. And it was through Reiki, it was through chakras, all the things that I learned in school. And
Mm.
I realized how important mindfulness is and staying grounded. And so, what a wonderful journey and gratitude that even though it didn't feel good in the moment, it
Mm.
brought me to this like serene place of peace
Mm.
and calm. And it restored me to a place that is just beyond what that true freedom. Whatever I thought freedom was, it
Mm.
like brought me to a place of like really true freedom.
Mm. That
And that's
was
how I got into it. Yeah.
wow.
Beautiful.
That was so beautiful. Like,
Thank you.
what a
Thank you.
beautiful story.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing what we go through when we as single moms or as women, we hold trauma in, we hold things in, and it's like the body is telling us, it talks to us, and it just
Mm.
wants to love on us.
Yeah, I like how you said
Mm.
like you were kind of searching for freedom and then it started looking different. Um,
Yeah.
so because that's what you grow on, but yeah, it started looking different. It was okay, well maybe I'll get the help of like, some modern medicine but no, you just went back into like your archives, what you had already learned, and it
Mhm.
started
hmm
working different for you. So yeah, it was a beautiful story. Definitely thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, my teacher was like, "Welcome." I said, "Welcome."
You have
She was like,
arrived.
she said, "Isn't that beautiful?" And then she's like, "You had that at 40 years old." At the time I was like 40, 41. She said, "You know how many people never had that?
Hmm.
Never
Mm.
had that experience." It was almost
Mm.
like, the Matrix. Seriously, like I came
Yes.
out of the Matrix.
Yes.
That's what it
Yes.
felt like. That's what it felt like.
Jasmine responses are bringing me so much joy because she's like right
Me,
along with you, like, yes,
because
yes.
I'm like
I be trying to
going
find the
through
words.
it.
Yes.
I'm going through it myself. Oh,
Yeah,
and it
we
makes
talked
it
that.
it yes, we have talked, and like, and when the last time we talked, I was in a different space and now I'm in another space. So it's starting to make a
Yes.
little bit more sense.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And
And
oh, go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
And so I was going to ask, so you graduated and then your license and then you have your own business and that's Mason Wellness. And
Mhm.
and so with that type of experience, what services do you provide for your customers?
So I provide massage, Reiki, and I do some body contouring, but that's for my sisters who don't want the actual invasive body work done. So like
Mm.
the normal like butt lifts, breast lifts, there's a holistic way to attain that look without having surgery. So
Mm.
I provide that service as well. But the bulk of my services are hypnosis,
Mm.
Reiki, and massage. And
Okay.
I love massage because massage is a constant work of grounding and
Mm.
exchange of energy,
Mm.
and Reiki too. So I love those are probably my favorite to do.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so could you kind of almost, well, you basically answered this question, but just to ask, why do you think wellness is important?
Man, I mean, it's so important for the mind, body, and spirit because it's in present moment that we can hear spirit and be guided to where we want to be.
Mm.
And it's oftentimes when we're in the place of noise of the world and noise of, things that are going around and don't make sense, this COVID stuff we got going on, it's such a distraction, right? And
Yes.
it keeps us from the ability to really hear. And I found that when we're in a place of homeostasis, which is whatever the body feels comfortable to love you in the most like harmonious way, even if it's sick, even if the body is sick, your body is always loving on you and trying to keep you, to trying to keep you alive.
Mm.
Even through sickness, it's trying to do its best to keep you alive. And the best way it happens is by being in the present mindful moment. And so
Mm.
wellness is so important because it helps you. in my opinion, to stay present, to stay conscious, so that you can really be guided. How many times we go about life and it's like, damn it, I heard that. And then you didn't act on it.
Mhm.
Or there's signs. The universe is here, like literally ready to like give you all your answers.
Mm,
It's like ready. It's like just ask me, you
right.
know, and in wellness we are allowed to hear what it is, and through how we eat and how we, um, work with people. It's like it's talking, it's constantly in connection. And so that's why I feel wellness is so important.
Wow. Yeah, no, for sure. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I have more work to do.
Yeah, we all do. Girl. My daughter said this so cheap. And I'm telling you, your kids are funny because all the things you tell them,
Hmm.
when you start acting up, they're gonna turn around and feed you your own words. That's not what my daughter said to me. She said, "As long as you're breathing, Ma, you still got work to do."
I would.
And I said, "You know
I
what?"
was like, who is talking to me right now? Like, who is this person?
She said, "Unless you want to go to the grave, you still got work to do. So
Um,
you're gonna be constantly a work in progress, Mom."
Mm,
You know, I know, like.
mm.
Thank you, little Maureen. That's really
Yeah.
nice to say.
And you know what? And her daughter can give great advice because Maureen gives amazing advice, as you guys can tell. And like she talked, she said, okay, so we met each other in aesthetic school, and we were sitting next to
Hmm.
each other, and she was just asking me how I was, and at the time, I'm like, that's a great question, and then I started thinking, and then after a while I really realized, like, well, how do I feel? And so I really started questioning
Mm.
myself.
Mm.
Yeah. And so me talking to a Marine really made me feel real comfortable with myself because I saw some of myself in her, and I could tell she was just into different things. And it's just different. And and that's it. That was it for me. And I'm like, man, this really intrigues me. And then we've had our conversations, and she referred me to do some Reiki healing. Um, COVID came around, so I couldn't do the one in person, but I did the one virtually, and it was an amazing experience.
Yes,
And I just thank you again for that. It was so freaking eye opening. Sometimes you would think this stuff is unreal, but it's real. And so what I'm hoping you can do, Maureen, is explain what Reiki is.
absolutely. So Reiki is an energetic work that's doesn't necessarily mean like touching or anything. It's a disconnect, but a connection to the
Okay.
divine.
Mm.
And so what the purpose is that, are you familiar with chakras?
Yes.
Okay, so chakras, there's many chakras besides the seven that we know.
Mm.
But what Reiki does is it allows us to connect to those chakras and bring them into balance. Because what some people know is that the chakras can tend to be out of balance,
Mm.
but under balance, but underactive, sorry. But a lot of times they can be overactive. And how does that show up if, say, for instance, your solar plexus, the yellow, like right there above your stomach, is overactive? Maybe you're a little too headstrong. Maybe you're a little too money motivated. Maybe your masculine energy right there is a
Mm.
little bit like bulldozing,
Okay.
right? That could be overactive. Underactive, sometimes sickness can show up. It can show up in overactive too, but with Reiki, it connects to the divine. I am not the person that's actually giving you that life force, but I'm being the vessel.
Mm.
I'm merely using the elements. So when I do Reiki, everybody does it different, but like for me, when I'm working on a person energetically, I connect to the wood. I connect to the elements. I connect to water. I connect to everything that is God. And I use that energy to bring into me to help that person. And I
Mm.
also use like tuning bowls and crystals and that
Mm.
to help me to align as well. And so it's energetic. It's a
Okay.
life force that I'm being used as a tool to connect to the person to
Mm.
bring whatever is out of balance, overactive, or underactive into a place of like complete balance.
Wow. No, that's and I wow. And when I had it done to me, the
Uh-huh.
way you explain it, that's what it could be no other answer than the divine. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're being. We're just being the vessels of connecting that force, that life force, and breathing it. Because even we, as the vessel, have to create a boundary to protect while we're bringing that energy through to
Mm,
you, to protect, to heal and help bring, restore yourself to well-being. So it's a great tool to use. I even use it on myself.
mm-hmm,
It's a great tool to have when you feel disconnected
mm,
or when you experience. I know that when I was going through that healing crisis, I was having issues with my digestive system. I was having
mm-hmm,
issues with my throat.
mm,
And I was having issues with my crown chakra. And what I noticed is in that moment, I was always afraid to speak up.
mm-hmm,
I was used to being in the back,
mm-hmm,
okay, with not saying anything, and I realized that's why I was having a lot of throat stuff because the energy was saying you need to have a voice. You're not allowing yourself to have a voice. So that's why you're having all these thyroid stuff going on right now,
mm-hmm,
you know. And as soon as I began to speak up, speak my truth, honey, when I started telling people how I feel,
Mhm.
for real, the thyroid issue went away and I wasn't on
mm,
medication. And
wow.
then I was having digestive issues. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized that came from me not believing in myself and having courage.
Oh wow.
So therefore, that's where the fear was coming from, as
Mm,
well as the sacral, the root chakra. I was realizing that I wasn't dealing with the things that happened to me going way back to being a little
mm,
girl that I can remember. And so I was having, cysts, ovarian cysts and things going on and, in my body physically
wow.
that through Reiki and wellness, it brought it back to regular. So I'm like aside from maybe having to take a Pepsid or something every now and then, I'm free from all the medications that I originally had.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
amazing. And so, my last question was, why do you think it's important for someone to experience Reiki? But I feel like you answered the why. Like I don't. I mean, it is my opinion, but to me, hearing your story, I don't see why you
Mhm.
wouldn't. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there are reasons why people don't experience Reiki. They could be
Hmm.
for religious reasons.
Okay. Okay.
It could be, I know that that's mainly what it is for some, like Catholics, and I have nothing against religious practice,
Mm,
but they have a belief system that kind of distorts, kind of keeps them from feeling, getting involved with Reiki. And I respect it. I just,
hmm.
they will allow me to work on them with massage,
Hmm.
and that's healing practice too. So
Hmm.
I'm okay with that. But um, or if it's just that they don't understand, and then once you give them understanding of the importance of the chakras, even because they don't understand the chakras,
Hmm.
once you give them understanding of that, they're like, oh, okay, I could do this. Or they think that you're the person that's healing them. And
Mhm.
I'm
Hmm.
like, oh no, no, no. I ain't doing it.
Right. Right.
It's divine using me to be a vessel for you to show to whatever it is that spirit is showing me. And it's beautiful because with Reiki, it almost draws you to wherever it is that's going on in the person's body. So you'll be like working on them and then you'll be drawn to their heart chakra.
Mm.
And they'll be like, oh my God, today I just realized I was hurting and I was going through and they realize that yes, it's definitely we are all connected through the divine.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
You explained that beautifully because that was, I don't want to say reservations because I don't know much about Reiki. I had
Uh-huh.
spoken with it about Jasmine like more recently, and I made sure to do some research before we recorded today. But that
Mhm.
definitely was one of my things where it's just like, so when we start speaking about energy and we know that the energy it is coming from God, I felt like having that vessel in between it maybe is what kind of deterred me a little bit. And even with like crystals too. I'm having a hard time like accepting them for their power. Like I can believe it. Like I see the work that is even done with jasmine, but it's
Mhm.
still just that I think when I'm just trying to explain something to myself, I try to boil it
Mhm.
down like as logically as possible because I'm trying to understand something that I actually don't understand. So
That's yeah, that is valid. Your point is very valid, and I was about to say something that came to mind. It'll come back, but that's very valid. And oh, that's what I was about to say. Like how you felt as well, as far as like being reserved, like about Reiki. I don't go to everyone about Reiki. There are some energies that do Reiki, and I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want that on me.
God,
I don't want
yikes.
that, whatever you got around
Not
me,
transferring this
and
energy.
yeah, yeah. And here's the thing that I always tell people, like we all had that innate like connection to the divine. It's just how we all tend to use it.
Mhm.
And so we have something that God has given us all, and that's discernment. And when that discernment is given to us and we don't quite understand, or there's an energy that's trying to connect, like, oh, I could do regular, I could do massage. I'm very careful to guard myself, even with those who are practicing this work, So I understand, like, as we get to learn and understand, like, also be very guarded of the energy, because there are people who know this energy and can, not use it properly because we're still working in ourselves.
Mhm.
And before I began to really harness in my work, I went through therapy to really deal with the stuff that I had going on. And I remember telling my therapist, I don't want to touch people
Mhm.
or do this work until I feel like I'm in a space to really be available. Because that energy, while the divine is working through me, there is some parts of me that is connecting to you. And there is parts of you that are still connecting to me. So it's important that if I'm going to connect to you, that there's goodness and there's connection there. So that's why I'm very careful of the energies that are around me.
Wow. We are so happy to have you here because you even just been answering some questions I've had. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're definitely doing that. Then I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
You have
I
another
appreciate
question? Oh, go ahead.
Sarah. I appreciate Sarah because I understand that even with the crystals and stuff, I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I can see the positive. Like I think I'm just learning. That's all. And what's been
Yeah,
beautiful is during this time, like me and Jasmine both have been doing like a lot of like self work, self improvement,
yeah,
and we're just going in different directions. But I'm still curious to see what she's feeling and see how she's learning, so I can see the beauty in it. I'm just still learning.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do appreciate the conversation today because it took a lot of the questions I had about it. Like it definitely answered a lot of them, and now I can look at it like toward in the future, just
Yeah,
who's going.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, and we hope that everyone at home they get some answers. Again, thank you so much, Maureen, for being here. And if you can, go ahead and shout out your Instagram information, anything you want, please.
Ashley, thank you so much for having me again. It was a joy speaking to you both, and the questions was needed. I needed this today. This was very needed, and I'm glad we had this conversation. My handles are Masan Wellness, M as in Mary, ESAN Wellness. That's on both Instagram and Facebook.
All
And
right.
my number is 443-297-9731.
We can call you. Set up an
Yeah,
appointment. Okay.
yeah. And my website is masonwellness.com.
Oh, that's great.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for that gift. Like we really, really, really appreciate this.
Oh,
So guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out Miss Aneesah Morine. I call her Maureen, so I forgot about that.
yeah,
But Miss
yeah.
Aneesah Morine, on her Facebook and Instagram, check out her website. If you've been inspired, I think that's just that's the first piece. But if you feel that intuition, go ahead and hit her up, please. And don't forget to keep the conversation going offline. And we should have recorded that Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, guys.
Bye. Thank you.